Welcome, everyone. This is our Souls Speak. We're in constellation in divine space. We convene with our souls to listen, share, and explore. Our Souls Speak, a podcast where together with our guests, we embody the soulful principles of oneness and sourceness. We are blessed to welcome our presenter for this episode, Will Caminada. I first met Will about 3 years ago when he was a wonderful featured speaker in a summit that I conducted online. And since then, his work has blossomed and he has created this really beautiful, vibrant community. Will is not only a multi-dimensional guide and Pleiadian channel, he is multi-talented. He is a breathwork and meditation facilitator, a singer and songwriter, and he is the author of From Darkness to Light, a continuous journey towards your essence. His main mission is to support fellow starseeds and lightworkers through the current process of ascension into the 5D New Earth. Will's topic for this episode is the multidimensional self. It's so wonderful to have you here, Will. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was such a beautiful introduction. I'm moved and I'm so happy to connect with you again and connect with your friends. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It is. So, how did you discover that you and we are multidimensional?
Yes. I was actually just thinking about the first time we met and we talked. I remember we talked about the heart.
Yeah.
And the heart chakra and opening up the heart, activating the heart. And even though at the time I wasn't doing the work that I'm doing today and talking about multidimensionality and connecting with the Pleiadians, I feel like that was a part of it because the Pleiadians are very big on the heart. And really the heart is one thing that they always say is that our heart is our multidimensional tool. And so I guess I could say it's from the heart, it's from connecting with the heart, and opening up the heart, activating our heart, that I feel like I personally connected with our multidimensionality, and I feel like that's the way to for people to connect with their multidimensionality. But I want to go back then to, I think it was 2021 or 2022 that we had our chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think around 2020, at a time where we were indoors very often, right? I was doing a lot of breath work and meditation, solo practice, and connecting more deeply with my guides. And I'm answering the question, but I'm also connecting with my connection with the Pleiadians because I think they're interconnected. And I started connecting with my guides, and I felt like they were more of a collective group, like a collective consciousness. Because before that, I could feel the spirit of my dad. I think he passed away when I was 8, and so he was sort of my spirit guide through my whole life. He still is. But I remember connecting with his presence and his spirit and feeling like I knew it was my dad. But then around that time, I didn't feel him anymore, but I could feel him as part of a group. And in one of those sessions where I was connecting with my guides and feeling this sort of group or collective consciousness, they said to me that they gave me a name, and it was the Guardians of Love. And I loved it. I'm like, yeah, this is perfect. And at the time, I was very timidly posting some channeled messages on my podcast, my YouTube channel. If you go back to like the old channeled messages, it says this is a channel message from the Guardians of Love. And it's probably because I didn't have that much knowledge of the Pleiadians, because I then fast forward a few months, I came across this interview on Gaia TV with Regina Meredith, and she was interviewing Barbara Hand Clow, who is the author of The Alchemy of Nine Dimensions of Consciousness, who's a book that she channeled from the Pleiadians. And that interview really like shifted a lot of things for me. It was like a whole activation. And I was like, I need to read this book. Like it was like memories were coming back to me. My heart was just racing, and I'm like, I need to devour this book. And I immediately downloaded it. And then my guide said, well, take your time, don't rush. This, like, just read this book one chapter at a time. Just go through the dimensions, because it's 9 dimensions, so each chapter is one. And I was like, okay, I want to devour it, but I'll follow that guidance. And there was so much there were so much synchronicities and beautiful spiritual experiences while I was reading this book. And while I was reading the book, I was also becoming more familiar with the Pleiadians, and also understanding what our dimensionality is from their perspective. Because they talk a lot about the dimensions of consciousness, and the way that I was reading it was also like, how are these dimensions connected to us, to this body and to this human avatar? So it was a journey. And in I had a dream where they showed up for me at a time that I needed some comfort. And at some point, when I was having one of those breathwork solo sessions and channeling, and they said, by the way, we are the guardians of love. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, because they're very, very big on, like I said, the heart, but on love. And that's what 5D is. That's what unity consciousness is love as a state of consciousness. And so they're helping us to connect with that love within us, to that 5D state of consciousness. And so they are, in a way, the guardians of love, and we can be that too. And from this point on, I read the book again. I started teaching parts of the book, and I just started receiving guidance from them, and working more from that working more with the dimensions of consciousness, understanding more deeply what they are, and especially where they are in us and how we can connect with them. And that's what I do in my program, the Multidimensional Self. We go through these dimensions of consciousness, but focused on us. And yes, that's how I got into multidimensionality. And today I just kind of I receive the guidance, and I take the next step. And so I'm very blessed and happy to have this connection, because I feel very supported by them.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking before, in preparation for this podcast, you were mentioning that you were teaching the 9 dimensions, but that now you're moving on to 12.
Mm. Mm.
That sounds exciting. You want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Yes, it's very exciting, because um, I got to connect with the same being that Barbara Hand Cloud connected with when she channeled the book. Her name is Satya. In the book, she is described as a Pleiadian goddess. Um, I'm not really sure if she's a goddess, or if this is just a word that we use to make sense of things. But she kind of gave me more information of these other dimensions, and gave me like a green light, and said, like, you can share this, like, this is the time. And I think it's also because of the timing of things, in 2020 2011, 2012, which is the end of the Mayan calendar, and the Mayans are very connected to the Pleiadians. They are Pleiadians. That was a time where these 9 dimensions of consciousness became more readily available for humanity. And now we are expanding that bandwidth. We can connect even higher or even wider. And yeah, I was really happy to connect with her and to receive information. And there is more information coming through. Every time that I run the program, there's pieces of information that are new to me, because I think this is just like the nature of evolution and the nature of us connecting with spirit as well. They will keep feeding us with information and updated light codes, so that we can share that. And there was also a full circle moment. Was it last month? Or I think it was last month. I got to interview Regina Meredith on my podcast. And she was the one who was interviewing Barbara and Klaus. So I got to tell her, thank you for your show, for that episode, because it really shifted things. And she was so nice and so generous and so genuine. So it was a full circle moment for me, because that was an important part of the journey, that episode. And I truly believe that we come across podcasts like this, YouTube videos, books, to gain knowledge, but to awaken something deeper within us, like a soul memory.
Enjoying this so much.
Yeah, I know we're enjoying this so much. Lorna, do you have anything to contribute?
I just heard that we might just want to take a moment just to pause here.
Yeah.
To feel, just to sense you feel here. No.
Yeah.
This seems to be. Yeah. So if you're watching this podcast, whenever you're watching this podcast, if you want to, if you wish to, if you choose to, you're probably feeling already in your heart area a lot of energy going on. So you may wish to just invite the codes and energy and other things that are coming in. You may wish to welcome that energy in right now. It's a transmission.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pleiadians.
Yeah. And before we go into the group, Will, I just want to say when I'm in your presence, I just sense this really deep clarity and love and compassion. And so I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I receive it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You embody what you receive.
Why do the Pleiadians love music so much? Because they really love music, or are they music?
Yeah, I love that question. And I was never asked this question. I love it. I feel like whoever feels a connection with them or who is a Pleiadian starseed, perhaps they've had lifetimes in the Pleiades. I feel like we choose to incarnate here to create beauty and to
Mm.
create art and to create music. So it's very common to see Pleiadian starseeds who are artists, painters, writers, musicians, singers, healers as well, because being a healer is a kind of art as well. So I feel like this is why, and there is something about frequency and sound that is very very galactic and we are all of us, we are sound, we are beings of frequency. Um, and when we use our voices or instruments to create those, beautiful songs or beautiful frequencies, this brings more healing and brings more light into the world. And so yeah, I believe that yes, sound carries intention and sound carries light. So, if light is traveling through sound and we can make those sounds, and even when it's not audible as well. And so that's the other thing too. It's the power of intention and the power of thoughts. That's why our thoughts are so important and so powerful. And when we're sending an intention or a prayer, you are sending that signal, that frequency out into the cosmos so that you receive that back. And I think um, that's why, yeah, I think that's why Pleiadians are very in tune with music and sound and frequencies because they understand how powerful it is and how beautiful it is that we have this opportunity to create music and to manifest something in this 3D that is actually very spiritual. And so for me, making music, singing, especially songwriting, is a very spiritual experience because I feel like I'm being the channel for this. And I used to say, when I was writing a lot of songs and I felt like sometimes every now and then I would feel like I didn't write this. And actually now I see it as no, I did write this, but I co-wrote this. I'm part of the process too. My human self is part of the process of creating that with the help of my guides, with the help of the collective humans as well. Everything is part of the creation, and so we are always co-creating. And even like my human self is part of my multidimensionality. This is what I've come to understand as well doing this work. This is a layer, if you will, of the many layers that we have. Yeah.
Wow. I got so many questions. Um, how does one connect further, deeper, more consistently with the Pleiadians in relation to receiving more guidance, honoring more unconditional love, which feels to me like the journey we're all on. We're just at different stages of that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the heart, is connecting with the heart. And a lot of times we tend to think that for us to receive that connection, we connect up here with the crown and the third eye. And yes, it's a part of it, but it's mostly through the heart that we connect with spirit. If you're carrying a lot of heaviness where a closed heart. Like it's going to be very hard for you to get to that connection, that deeper connection with spirit. You can do all the work up here, but the heart is the bridge, right? When you look at the chakra system, you have the three lower chakras and the three upper chakras, and the heart is connecting, right? And the heart connects the lower dimensions with the higher dimensions, the spirit with the human with the spirit. So I think that's number one. And the other thing that's coming to mind is to trust the connection, to trust that you're receiving the guidance and the messages that you need to receive today. And it can be very unique to the person because, you know, you could be painting and that's a channeling experience, and you could be connecting with the Pleiadians. And if you can make this even more more conscious and more intentional, that's even better. That's why, you know, having the knowledge combined with the awareness, then you can make those kind of decisions. Like, I'm going to paint and I'm going to connect with the Pleiadians, and this is going to be my channeling experience. Or you can make music, you can play your guitar or sing and write, and this is the way that you connect with them. So there isn't one specific way. I think you can create the way that resonates most with you. And lastly, if there was one more practical thing that I could say is to have a consistent practice of meditation, breath work, sound healing or sounding, toning, things that connect you to your subtle bodies and connect you to spirit, and set the intention. I just talked about intention, but intention is a powerful tool. And a lot of times I see questions in my groups. They're like, is it just so? Do I just set the intention? That's all? And I'm like, that's all, but that's a lot. You know, that carries a lot of power. Again, like you're setting the intention, you're sending out that signal. And even if you set the intention to connect with the Pleiadians in the meditation, and maybe it doesn't happen in that moment, remember that time in the higher dimensions is non-linear, and you might receive that answer or that guidance tomorrow or next month or next year, but you're still opening up the channels. And so when you have that awareness, you can set the intention and again, be more intentional in everything that you do.
Yeah, that's really helpful and affirming, and it connects to generally. I felt and I feel a connection when I'm in a place of receptivity, when there's space, when my mind is sort of open, I'm not particularly fixating on something. There's this feeling like we had earlier. And you know the Russian dolls, like the Matryoshka dolls, that one goes inside the doll. So if the 9, 12 dimensions were those dolls, so expand on that as that's a metaphor for our dimensions, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's more than just one body inside another body inside another body.
Yeah, I feel like we can make more sense of these dimensions when we see them as layers, but that's because our conscious mind, our ego here in 3D, we function in a linear way. So there's linear time and space, and it's okay. It's okay to understand things in a linear way because that's how we can make sense of things. But something that they always say when I'm talking about these dimensions is just remind people that it's not as linear as it seems, you know, because we are in this 3D planet, in this 3D world, which is not a 3D planet anymore, but in the third dimension. And you know, before you realize that there's more to life than the 3D, you think that this is all there is. So you think that this is the only layer there is, and it's a finite experience. And so when you awaken and you start to explore spirituality and these other dimensions of consciousness, you understand that there's more, and not only that it's all interconnected, that even us being here in this perceived third dimension, we are already connected to nature, which is second dimension. It's the space between the first dimension, which is the center of the earth, and the crust of the earth. That's our second dimension. We're always in constant connection with nature. We are nature. And at the same time, when we look up, and gravity starts to be less dense, and that's another dimension. That's the fourth dimension, and we are connected to that. And so this is the perspective from our linear mind. We understand things as layers and perhaps as places, right? When we bring this knowledge and this awareness into the body, and I always say that we are the micro of the macro. So everything that's happening out there in the universe is happening within us, and we are the universe manifested into this physical being. All that's happening in nature, it's happening in our bodies. Like, we have our veins, we have blood rushing through our veins, we have our gut health, everything is working perfectly in harmony. And if it's not, we're trying to figure out with our linear mind what to do, but actually our body is always trying to find that harmony. But yeah, so when we bring the macro to the micro, we understand that all of these dimensions are within us. Nature is within us. Thoughts and emotions. This is another layer of our multidimensionality too. Spirit is always connected to us. So this is another way of looking at these dimensions that doesn't look like the Russian doll or like the layer, even though that's okay too, because that's how we understand things. And embracing your multidimensionality, it is about that, is about embracing all the layers and all the aspects of yourself, of the universe, and not saying this is right, this is wrong, even though when we're talking about 3D, we experience a lot of duality, and the ego tends to see things as good or bad, right or wrong, light or dark, right? And when you start to embrace your multidimensionality, explore more of that, you start to see that there's more colors. It's not just black or white. There are a wide range of different colors and shades of different colors, right?
Wow. Just taking it all in, well, taking this experience in.
I just wonder, Will, what has been your experience of what folks find the most challenging of understanding their multi-dimensional self?
I think that what they find most challenging, I mean, it varies, it's very unique, but I want to say is probably that non-linearity of things and the non-duality of things too, because in general, as humans, we've been conditioned to function in duality and separation and identification. Like the ego, that's all about identification and I'm separate and it's I versus you. And this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, right? And I agree, I disagree. So I think that in general, that's what people find most difficult, because it's not something that well, it is something that we are undoing and unlearning, but it's not something that we've learned in a year or two, right? These are many years, like thousands and thousands of years of programming, of conditioning to believe that we're separate, and to believe that there is a God to be worshipped, and to believe that we are separate from that, to believe that that we don't have the power, and to believe that we are separate, and to vibrate in fear as well, right? To believe that this is a finite life, and I need to fight for my life, right? And so many things, right, in so many years of conditioning that we're undoing. And so it will be hard for all of us, because we have to just be vigilant. And I say, tune into our observer selves, our higher self, more and more often, because our higher selves have this neutral perspective of things, that non-dual perspective of things, that nothing is finite, that nothing is black or white, that nothing is good or bad. And so I think, yeah, to answer your question, I would say that is transcending duality probably is the hardest thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as our soul, the soul doesn't take anything personally, doesn't have an identity, is a group consciousness. My belief, my truth, is a group consciousness. So the group consciousness is completely different in my experience than the personality consciousness, and what you've spoken about, the ego and so on. And so it's a big progression in some ways, not big in other ways, but can be perceived to be a big progression. So totally agree with you there. In terms of how you personally can talk about, how do you know, or how do you perceive or sense or feel when your soul is speaking and not your personality?
That's really interesting, because if you'd asked me this maybe 5 or 4 years ago, when I was doing a bunch of solo breathwork sessions and just really deepening my connection with my guides and my soul, I would probably say, like, these are the moments that I know I'm connecting with my soul and my higher self, on purpose, intentionally. Like, I'm dedicating this next hour will be for me to take my ego to the side for a nap and connect with my higher self, connect with my guides, connect with my heart. And it really, really helps. And this is what I guide people through in my courses and group sessions, to have that moment. And I think it's really, really important, if one is committed to that path, to make the time and to be consistent, and to be disciplined, because there are so many distractions. Like, and we can spend hours worrying about something or scrolling on social media, and be completely oblivious to spirit and to the higher self and to our intuition, right? Um, but personally today, I feel like there's a little bit more union between my human self and my spirit self, my ego and my spirit. And I feel like that's also a reflection of what's happening with Earth and the collective, and with the universe and the galaxies. They're merging, and the feminine and the masculine energy are becoming more one, the human and the spirit. So I feel like everything is becoming more one, more unified or united. And so that's what I'm feeling today. It's like I feel, even like now, talking here, sometimes it feels more like my higher self is speaking through me. And it's something that I often do as well when I'm in sessions with people. Um, And it's just, I guess, it's just being aware as well of the moments where you are more in your identity, and sometimes you actually need to be in those moments, right? I think there's a healthy aspect of being connected to your identity and your personality. If you're going to do something that feels more like a 3D thing, like, I don't know, going to the bank or doing some paperwork, this kind of boring stuff. Or scheduling something like this, scheduling a flight, things like this. Because otherwise, it's going to be hard for you to function in 3D too, right? You're just going to be aloof and you're going to be in the higher dimensions all the time. And I personally feel that the more grounded I am, the more embodied I am, and the more that I love my human life, the deeper the connection with spirit, the deeper my experiences of altered state of consciousness are. And in the past, I used to kind of feel like they were separate. And at times I actually I didn't want to come back to the 3D. I just wanted to meditate and I just wanted to breathe and connect with the higher realms. But it's something that my guides always remind me of and help me with, which is to be in the human body and to enjoy your human experience and see this as a blessing, as a gift, as part of your multidimensionality and part of the evolution of your soul as well. Like, we've chosen to be here. Our souls have chosen to be here. And so let's honor this. So I don't know if this answers your question, man. Maybe you went on.
It's the energy of your answer is a great gift because for many people, I in the work that I do, I find that their tendency is to want to drift off into the the higher realms or the higher states of consciousness, and it's incredibly seductive. And yet my guides, like yours, mine are quite disciplinarian, so there's quite a strong discipline approach, which is obviously what I've chosen, and I love it. And it's gradual. This shift is gradual for most people. I believe that's what I've observed. And then it feels like there's also a shift to a state of being in a greater depth of commitment to that complete dissolving, if you like, into the higher self, or the soul, or the oversoul, or the monad, or whatever you'd like to call it. And that to me is a very interesting step. It feels like the majority, not judging, but the majority really are at that stage now of what I term, my guides call the soul merge, where they're beginning to embody the soul consciousness completely within their physical vessel. And that can be quite disorientating for lots of people, especially I feel if they're disciplined and their foundations, as you've so eloquently discussed, are not clear, are not established. So thank you. It was absolutely resonated completely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And as you were sharing this, I also kind of had this image of like a bridge, and sometimes we experience two sides of the spectrum, and then we have to just close the bridge, and there is a gap, right? That's why sometimes, yes, commitment and discipline is necessary, and then maybe at some point you actually need to be a little bit not so disciplined with your spiritual practice, because that might not be the most beneficial thing for you right now. Maybe you actually need to be in the body. Maybe you actually need to be in the mind and do human things and become more embodied, so that this bridge can be closed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an interplay, isn't it? It's an interplay back and forward. It's not a one thing. It's a continually evolving path, voyage of discovery.
Yes.
You're gonna say something, Greg. Sorry, I was.
No, well, yeah, I am. Yeah, what's moving through me and in my work, and it really resonates with what we're talking about, is that, you know, the deeper I'm in my body these days, the more connected I am to my soul. And so that it's like when I first met my guides, they were up here in a circle, and now I sense them right around, you know, my eye level, and so that I'm interacting, you know, more frequently through that multi-dimension through my body. And I know, you know, that's an often conflicting, I guess, dynamic and spiritual discussions, but I feel like the more that I'm embodied, the more expanded I am. But that's me.
Yeah. No, I totally resonate with that. And I was also thinking about something that Barry just said earlier about receptivity. Because there are mundane moments in our day-to-day life that we can be very receptive to their guidance, like when you're taking a shower. Like I get messages and ideas for songs when I'm taking a shower, or when you're doing something that, you know, feels very automatic for you. So then you're connected to that subconscious mind. So in moments like this, sometimes it's just a second that you receive that. It can be in the shower, you might be walking in the park or close to nature. So these are examples as well of how spirit is integrating with the human, with the body as well. So it's not necessarily that you need to make a ritual and reserve 2 or 3 hours to connect with it. We're always connected with them.
Right. You just you discover when you're out of alignment, and then you find, whether it's somatically or mentally, a way to get back into that alignment, and then yeah, there you are.
Will, what's present for you right now?
Present for me right now, just in general, anything?
Here, now with us in this moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a sense of connection and a sense of building community, but building the grid. Like I'm having a vision of a grid, and like we're just kind of connecting the dots, you know, like on the Earth's grid. And I know we're in different parts of the world, and it feels like maybe we're connecting in the Earth's grid, but it's not as linear or geographical like that. I feel just a sense of connection and connecting the dots on the Earth's grid. That's what I feel.
You're answering the question I didn't ask, but I was in my mind as I asked that question, because that's exactly what I was feeling around this, what's happening with us connecting at this exact time, and what we will bring and how that feels when we connect. And the words when you were talking earlier was there's this feeling. I'm in the limit of language here. I always feel this is around you and around us. There's this softening. That's the only way I can describe it. I feel this softening, and with the softening comes this clarity. And the more there's softening, there's more clarity, and then how we then can relate and how we are relating in that space. It just feels like a very fresh new way for us to be together and to include and invite others to be together. And I'm personally like crazy excited by the potential of that and this and more of this, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And I also feel very joyful too. Like I feel a sense of joy. And this is the case when I'm doing when I'm connecting with people that are, you know, committed to bring light into the world and to connect from heart to heart, from soul to soul. That brings me joy. That's something that really brings me joy. That and eating brings me joy.
I mean, this is just coming, so just bear with it. It's like if you were to pull three pieces of your current work together, what are those three pieces, and help us with, yeah, feeling more awareness, more understanding, more direction around your work, and particularly your direct work with and through the Pleiadians.
Okay, three pieces. I think the first piece is just guidance. Not just guidance, it's guidance.
Yeah.
I'm always very inspired by the Pleiadians and by just my guides and the way that they have guided me, and they continue to do so, because it's never demanding, it's never
Yeah.
bossy, it never feels negative or boring or anything like that. It's always very loving, and it's always very playful and joyful, and very comforting, nurturing, and they always respect as well my free will, which is, we're in this universe, and it's a free will zone universe. And so that's kind of how I try to guide others as well. When I'm working, I always try to bring that element of kindness and loving and nurturing and respecting people's free will. And also, maybe that's the second piece, is encouraging and encouragement, for people to connect with their higher selves, with their hearts, connect with their own sovereignty, and know that they have the power, and that we have the power. We've had it all along. We just forgot it. And I think the third piece would be light, to receive and spread light. And the Pleiadians always say light is information, and light is everywhere. Light is available. And we as a collective, Mother Earth is receiving so much light over the last few years. All the solar flares and solar flashes and all of these things, it means Earth is ready to receive more light, which is information, so that she can continue to ascend. And the same applies to us. And so, yeah, I feel like, because I've been connecting, I've been receiving information and light, it's my duty to spread that light and to share that light as well. Not as absolute truths. Again, I just want to encourage people to connect with their truth and with their light, so that they can receive the light that they need to receive at the time that they need to receive, that they're ready to receive. So yes, I would say is that guidance, encouragement, and light. Yeah.
Beautiful. Incredible answers to questions that I feel.
No, I love that. I love that question. I was never asked that question either. So love it.
Is there anything here that anyone would like to ask or offer, or?
I just want to dovetail back that I think, your presence, as I mentioned before, is so beautiful, and that is probably the most powerful thing we give each other, right?
Yeah, there's so much richness and joy and caring and lovingness. Lorna, did you want to say something?
Well, I met a group today for the first time called the Radiance, Radiance, a group, a consciousness, and that's what I am experiencing is radiance from you, Will.
Yeah.
You know, the bandwidth of light, how I see it, feel it, sense it, know it, is wow. words don't really help at this moment. So thank you for shining. Your radiance is.
Thank you. And I say, when we bring our light together, we shine brighter, right? There's even more radiance. So, and that's like the vision for me for the future. That's what I envision for the new earth, and us coming together and shining our light and being our authentic selves and being sovereign and just continue to shine from the heart, and there will be even more radiance. And if we're doing this right now in this moment, this group right here, I there is so much power in that, because I imagine what if many groups are joining and joining their light right together and shining their light. And it is it feels like sometimes it's like how do I say, like an ant work, like the ant, like bringing like pieces and building something. And it's so funny because this morning I had a session with a client, and as soon as I stepped into her field, that was exactly the vision that I had. A bunch of ants doing the work and building something that felt very big for them. Um, and there's something that we can learn from them. It's teamwork. It's working for ourselves, but working with each other and for each other and for the community, while also working through the cycles of the seasons of nature too, right? Because they're smart in that way. And it was something that resonated with the client. But yeah, it's funny, right? Because the ants came back for this, but there's something that we can learn from them. And I think that's kind of where we're heading towards. It's not going to be as quick, maybe, as we would like, in terms of linear time, but I truly believe that we are in the shift. We are in the process of ascending. Mother Earth is going to ascend, is ascending. I think it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing process, and I'm just grateful to be here on Earth this time with you, doing this work, and contributing with our work. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And to complete, I feel there's such an abundance of unconditional love here to send that out to where it's most needed.
Yeah.
From us.
You want to spend a moment and do that?
Set an intention and spend a moment. Yeah. Beautiful.
Go with love, Will.
Thank you,
Thank
Will.
Until the next, may it be soon.
Many blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gratitude and much love. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, much love to you.
Yeah, lots.
Blessings. Thank you for joining us. We invite you to subscribe to our channels and join our community. To receive more information about our guests and future events, please visit our website at sourceness.one. We are one.